Hey, what's up, guys? This is David Chase Taylor of 911truther.org. Today is January 3rd of 2026. So, based on breaking news and events, it appears the CIA headquarters located beneath CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland is going to stage an apocalyptic Russian false flag terror attack, act of war, invasion, and or terror event in the next 24 to 48 hours in the aftermath of the United States Armed Forces based capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. So for those of you that are unaware, on the morning of January 3rd of 2026, United States Armed Forces attacked Caracas, Venezuela, the capital city of Venezuela, and subsequently kidnapped Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, who were subsequently evacuated to the USS Iwo Jima and are currently on a ship headed towards New York City, where they will stand trial on narco-terrorism related charges. So this is a major escalation in the ongoing rift between the Trump administration and Venezuela. But what's important to recognize here is the end game is the whole reason this is happening right now is that the CIA is trying to start a war between the United States and Russia over Venezuela and their oil. So in order to basically set the groundwork for this impending Russian attack, which is going to be touted in the media and the talking heads of the CIA around the world and all their newspapers, it's basically going to be touted as a revenge attack. So in the next 24 to 48 hours, the CIA is going to stage a Russian attack of some sort, and then they're going to claim that it was retaliation for this arrest of Maduro. Never mind that the first Trump administration, the second Trump administration, as well as the Biden administration, as well as the European Union and other political entities around the world, did not recognize Nicolas Maduro as the rightful president of Venezuela. That doesn't matter, but we saw the beginning of this when a political activist, an anti-Maduro political activist, I forget her name right now, but she won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2025, and this was specifically designed to highlight Venezuela and their illegitimate president, Nicolas Maduro, just prior to this major event. So this is the first step that the CIA has executed on the ground, basically towards World War III with Russia over Venezuela. And in order to set this particular narrative up, the CIA executed this attack on Caracas and subsequent kidnapping of a head of state at the same time that Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was in Moscow. So on January 3rd, the morning of January 3rd, 2026, the Vice President of Venezuela was coincidentally in Moscow, Russia, when her president, Nicolas Maduro, was apprehended by United States Armed Forces. Also, back on December 30th, roughly 4 days ago, Venezuelan oil tankers began painting Russian flags on the side of their tankers, as reported by the New York Times. And this is designed to foreshadow that the Venezuelan oil operation, if you will, is basically going to be hijacked by Russian forces. And so this is expected in the next 24 to 48 hours. It's some sort of retaliatory attack. Now, on the ground, this is likely going to be executed by the Israeli Mossad, but it's going to be blamed on Russia. And that's what's imperative to note here, is that whatever happens by the date of January 5th, this is likely going to happen on the evening of January 3rd, the date of January 4th, or the morning of January 5th of 2026. And coincidentally, back on November 19th of 2025, Russian General Oleg Legtievich Markovich was also in Venezuela overseeing a battalion of 1,200 troops. So the links between Russia and Venezuela have been made. They were made during the attack on the morning of the 3rd, and they were made previously, and that is because this move by the Trump administration, whether they know it or not, is going to result in a very, very quick tit-for-tat escalation that's going to result in World War III. You can mark it down. You can take it to the bank. This is going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. So exactly what the alleged Russian response to the kidnapping of Maduro and his wife is obviously not known, but the most likely scenario is that the CIA tries to stage some sort of Islamic terror attack in Europe or the United States. I just published a report for a Russian ISIS-based CBRN-related attack targeting nightclubs in Europe. There's also the possibility that the CIA will stage false flag Russian submarine-related attacks targeting the fleet of the USS Gerald R4, the USS Iwo Jima, possibly while carrying Nicolas Maduro, so they could send a Russian submarine to basically to pick up Maduro while en route to New York to stand trial. But they could stage a Russian armed forces-based, special forces-based attack targeting the oil-related infrastructure in Venezuela, basically send in special forces to secure it. This would likely be executed by the Israeli Mossad and subsequently blamed on Russian Spetsnaz, special forces. Also, what is expected is a Russian ICBM strikes targeting Ukraine, Europe, or the United States. Some sort of a storming attack or invasion, possibly, as I mentioned, the oil-related entities, possibly Caracas itself, or international airports, capital cities, mass transit-related entities such as trains, train stations, subway stations. Or the CIA could stage some sort of Russian offensive targeting Europe, NATO, European Union, United States, Canada, and these possibly would feature one of the Russian super weapons that Vladimir Putin disclosed back on March 31st of 2022, and these include, but are not limited to, the 3M-22 Zircon hypersonic cruise missile strikes, the 9M-730 Burevestnik SSC X-9 Skyfall nuclear-powered cruise missile strikes, the Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle HGV strikes, the KH-47M2 Kinzhal air-launched ballistic missile strikes, the RS-28 Cermat IE Satan II heavy intercontinental ballistic missile strikes, the Status 6 Ocean Multi-Purpose System, i.e. Poseidon nuclear-powered unmanned underwater vehicle strikes, and or the UR-100N SS-19 Stiletto intercontinental ballistic missile strikes. So what we do know is that the impending attack by Russia in the next 24 to 48 hours is going to be CBRN in nature. That's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear in nature, and it's specifically going to be it's designed to spawn a second global biological pandemic and or trigger World War III. So, like I said, we don't know what type of retaliatory attack the CIA is going to stage, but this is how the CIA works. So you have Switzerland and your CIA in Europe, and then you have their basically their offense, which is the Israeli Mossad, the Israeli Navy, the Israeli Air Force, and then they would stage an attack on U.S. forces or Venezuela's oil-related entities or some soft target in Europe or the United States, and then they would blame it on Russia. And then the United States will go to war with Russia. And that's exactly what's going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. So exactly how this is going to transpire in reality, obviously not known. But the most likely scenario is that the CIA stages a Russian revenge attack like I said, this could be a black flag attack, an Islamic jihadist related attack that's backed by Russia. It could be a direct Russian special forces related attack, or it could be a full scale invasion, or it could be a tactical nuclear strike, or some other form of offense, but some major event that's going to be scapegoated on Russia is going to transpire by the date of January 5th. And I say that because on the date of January 3rd, we have the Carolina Panthers at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football game in Tampa, Florida. This is essentially a playoff game. It's going to be have hundreds of millions of viewers, and it's going to be broadcast all around the world. We also have the Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers football game on January 3rd, Saturday in the United States. This is also virtually a playoff game, going to be broadcast around the world. And then on Sunday, January 4th, which is when the aforementioned attack targeting European nightclubs that was going to be blamed on Russia was going to transpire on the morning of the 4th. We have multiple NFL games, and this is the last week of the regular season, so they're having all these basically interconference games. And so we have the Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles, former Super Bowl champions, and then we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is essentially a game for the whoever wins gets into the playoffs, whoever doesn't. So this is essentially a playoff game. And for those of you that follow sports, this is going to be broadcast around the world, streaming, and it's going to have viewership possibly upwards of 1 billion people. And we all know that the CIA likes to stage attacks and terror events and acts of war when the audience is watching. And this impending Russian revenge attack, or what I'm calling Russian blowback, is going to transpire somewhere in the United States, in Europe, in South America, possibly targeting the aforementioned U.S. fleet that's currently sailing off the coast of Venezuela, possibly targeting the USS Iwo Jima while transporting Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela to New York City. But some major false flag is going to be executed at the behest of CIA headquarters in Geneva on the ground by the Israeli Mossad, the Israeli Air Force, or the Israeli Navy. And then it's going to be blamed on Russia. So we have to watch out for this. This is going to be an epic false flag. It's basically the false flag that's going to start World War III. It could be as simple as a Russia allegedly shooting down a U.S. airliner for revenge. It could be Russia shooting down or shooting a U.S. cruise ship in the Mediterranean or the Caribbean. It could be anything. It could be a hostage crisis, it could be a storming attack, it could be a CBRN attack, but some sort of major event is expected, and most likely going to transpire during the live broadcast of one or more of the aforementioned football games. And so this is going to be a made-for-TV event that's going to, similar to the January 3rd attack on Caracas. It's going to happen fast, and the consequences are going to be long-lasting, because this is basically, the CIA is basically sitting in Geneva, the only neutral country in the world, and they see that the United States and Russia are about to solidify their peace agreement, and so they have to blow it up somehow. And they are going to do so with a major false flag that's going to be executed on the ground by the Israeli Mossad, the Israeli Navy, or the Israeli Air Force, and subsequently blamed on Russia. Obviously, that cannot be allowed to happen. So if the CIA stages any sort of Russian offensive, whether directly or indirectly via one of their proxy terror groups, obviously know that it was planned and orchestrated by CIA headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland. And so if this happens, I would kindly ask that you download this video and share with local, state, and federal law enforcement, military, and intelligence officials, as well as with local, national, and international media outlets. Peace.